Hello and welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. This is the weekly tarot forecast for Cancer. And to start you out, we have the Eight of Cups. Now, we're going to lay out the rest of our 10-card spread here. And we are also going to do an 11th card, a bonus card. We're calling it our confirmation card. And we're just going to put that right there. We're not going to look at it until the very end. And we're just going to see how it might tie this whole reading together, how it might give us that confirmation that we're looking for at the end. Okay, so we're just going to set that right there. We're not going to think about it for now. We started out with this Eight of Cups, so I am wondering if you're not in a situation right now where you're feeling this kind of lack of energy, this lack of enthusiasm or interest in things right now. I wonder if you're not just kind of down in a little bit of a rut. Maybe there has been some emotional things going on with you that have just kind of drained you. I think maybe you're just kind of feeling a little bit of a lack of energy and enthusiasm. Just maybe some fatigue going on that I think has an emotional source. Okay, let's get into it a little bit further. I think you're the type of person who really values communication. We have this Prince of Swords here, and really we have a couple of air cards here, a decent amount of air cards. So I think that communication is really important to you. But I think that you're the type of person who, in the past at least, maybe this is kind of part of your personal history or your unconscious tendencies, but I think that you tend to kind of make friends quickly, and you're very enthusiastic at the beginning, but then you just kind of lose interest after a while. And the communication is just not stimulating for very long, right? With the Prince here, I really feel like this is kind of representing your tendency, right? And I think it really is that you get very, very jazzed up, very enthusiastic about new friends. You love to go out and meet new people, but they very quickly bore you. They just kind of, they stop being inspiring. They stop being stimulating, and you just kind of, the communication goes stale after a while. The conversation just kind of goes flat after a time. And so I feel like you lose interest kind of quickly with that situation. And I think that might kind of relate to why you just feel a little bit drained. You feel a little bit in a funk right now, this kind of fatigue or lack of energy. And maybe it is because that you've been doing this for a while. Like you've been just, getting out there and meeting new people and being very enthusiastic and a lot of energy with very stimulating conversation. And then it just kind of fizzles out quick and you just lose interest. Maybe you run out of things to talk about with these people. It just seems like it starts out very energetic, very enthusiastic, and then it just kind of goes nowhere, okay? So I think that might be what's leading to a little bit of your emotional exhaustion, just kind of that physical exhaustion that has that emotional cause or the emotional component to it. All right, I see in the recent past, though, that you've had this, you've been a very vigorous and healthy person. The Six of Wands here is kind of saying to me that maybe in the recent past you've just recently conquered an illness. You've really gotten healthy when maybe in the past you had some illnesses or some injuries, or there was something going on that left you just physically weakened, and now you've just kind of built yourself back up. You've conquered this injury or illness, and you're just back to being this strong and vital and powerful person, right? The Six of Wands here is saying that you've been victorious over something recently that has, before that, has really affected your health, your vitality, your well-being, right? So I think that it was maybe a sickness or an injury, something like that you've recently gotten over, and you're back to being your strong, vigorous self. So now you're probably even more concerned of why you feel such fatigue now. And I really think that it has that emotional component. So it's not like a physical cause because you've built yourself back up, you have your health and your vitality and your fitness. So something else is leading to this drain of energy, okay? And I really think that it has to do with some of these air cards, especially this tendency that you have to be really enthusiastic and really just eager at the beginning, and then it just kind of fizzles out. Again, it's just like, it's very stimulating and engaging at the beginning, but then you just kind of lose interest and it stops being worthwhile, right? I think that what you're hoping for, your ideal here, your aspiration and goal really is to have this spiritual connection with somebody. To really feel like this is just such a magical and divine and spiritual connection with someone that it is unmistakable. It is this high priestess, this major arcana heavyweight thing, that this is your highest ideal of the relationship that you could have with a person. And it's not necessarily romantic either. There's not a lot of cards here that say you're looking just for a lover that you can, connect with on this higher level. This is really anybody. I think they have to be intellectually stimulating as well because of these air cards, and because you have this tendency to really value the intellectual connection, right? The mental connection and the rapport that you have with someone. But I think you're really looking for that one person that just stands out as like this magical being that you can connect with, that understands you, that really just is in sync with you on every level, right? I think that's what you're really looking for. That's your highest ideal here, is to have that kind of relationship with someone. What I see happening is this Eon card, this final judgment. This is a reawakening, a rebirth. So I think something is going to come along that's going to restore your faith in things, that's going to restore your enthusiasm and your interest. I feel like it's going to be opening up a new vista, a new future, a new path, a new door for you into your future. And this card, major arcana card, heavyweight card, indicates that there is going to be a definite step into the future, that you're really going to experience something that is going to be like, just like being reborn, right? Like it's just, you're coming into a new era, a new phase of your life. It's going to be a reawakening, a rebirth, a renewal of all of this good, fiery, spiritual energy. And I think that's what's coming in the immediate future. And I think that this is coming by way of this additional air card. This is an older male energy, probably an air sign. This is the Knight of Swords here, and I think this is really someone that's coming into your life that's going to really kind of pull you out of this rut that you're in, and going to lead to your like reawakening, your rebirth of all of your love and enthusiasm and fiery spiritual energy, and just that passion for the future, right? This is like the door is opening to the rest of your life kind of thing. And I think it's coming by way, again, of this older male air sign. It's male energy, and I think it's probably an air sign, but it's something that's going to be just very charming, kind of going to sweep you off of your feet and just be stimulating on that intellectual level that you need, that you require. But I think this is going to actually be something that's going to last for a long time. This isn't just kind of that, fizzles out after a couple days or a week or whatever, and you lose interest or you lose that inspiration. I think this is a person that's going to really be able to sustain that with you, and I think it's going to be related to this ideal, this aspiration that you have of establishing this higher connection with someone. And I think this person is coming into your life, and again, I think they have that older male type of energy. But I think they're going to be an air sign, and I think that they're going to really be able to stimulate you in such a way where you pull out of this Eight of Cups situation, this feeling that you're in of being drained, and you're really going to have that renewal of your fiery spirit, your ambition and enthusiasm and passion for life, and it's going to really bring you into the future. And, I think that it's going to be very fulfilling and stimulating in that way. Now, don't forget to hit that like button, and please subscribe to this channel. And also go check out the other videos that may pertain to your sun, moon, or rising signs, because I think that'll give you a much more dynamic and holistic picture of what's going on this week, okay? All right, we're going to move on to the second part of the reading this week. We have the Five of Swords. So I feel like you have this image of yourself, right? I think that you look at yourself as someone who is kind of intellectually dominating, right? I feel like you don't think anyone else can really live up to your standards intellectually. I think you're a very intelligent person. I think you're very good at communication. You might even have like a degree in communication, or you've got a job somewhere in communication, or that involves a lot of direct communication with people. And so I think that you really feel like you are just kind of a step above everyone else, or that you can't really relate to people, or that might be why the intellectual stimulation kind of fizzles out after a time, is because it seems like it's difficult to please you intellectually. I think that you have very high expectations of communication with other people, and I think that you see yourself, at least, as someone who just kind of tends to dominate the conversation, and a lot of people can't really deal with that. They can't live up to those standards. They can't really meet you at your level. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you have the confidence, you have the intelligence, probably a very high IQ, and I think that it's nothing that you're doing wrong. It's not your fault that you're smart and that you're good at communicating. It's just you don't find conversations so stimulating after a time. And I think that goes back again to this knight this Prince of Swords that we saw, where you get very enthusiastic at the beginning, but then people just let you down. It just doesn't work. It fizzles out. You lose interest. You stop being inspired or stimulated by the conversation anymore. And I really just think it's because you have a very high intelligence, a high IQ. You're very good at communicating. And so I just think that you tend to dominate the conversation, or you feel like you do. This might not be objective reality. Again, remember, this is how you see yourself. So you might have this image of yourself as just someone who overpowers people, intellectually, and that is kind of preventing any real connection from happening. Okay, and again, I don't see anything wrong with that. I personally value intelligence and communication, even though I'm not very good at it. So I understand that you've got this part of your personality. You see yourself as someone who's very intelligent and a good communicator, and you expect other people to be the same, and it's not your fault if they aren't. Okay. But what I see for the environment and for what's going on around you is this water. So we're going from all of this air, now we're moving into some water cards. So I think this is an indication that the world around you doesn't always operate on this intellectual, this level of intellect and intelligence that we've been talking about. I think the world around you is trying to operate on more of a compassionate, emotion-based, feeling-based, intuitive, level with a lot of empathy and compassion. And I think that is where you might be at odds a little bit with the world around you. And that could be, again, relating to this drain that has this emotional component. Remember, we said that at the beginning, where there is some kind of an emotional basis for your physical just fatigue. And I think it could just be from this lack of emotional stimulation, because we're talking about all this intellectual, all these swords, all of this air stimulation and inspiration. But now we're talking about this compassion, this empathy, this relating to people on that emotional level, that intuitive level, the level of being that kind of goes beyond just the ability to communicate and intellectualize and rationalize and communicate with words and logic. I think it's just more of a feeling-based way of relating to people. And I think if you were to work on that and establish that a little bit more in general with the people in your life, with the world around you, generally, I think it'll help lift you out of this kind of rut that you might be feeling right now. So I think this is an important thing to consider. Now, as far as your worries and concerns, your fears almost, we have this moon card. Now the moon, this major arcana card rules Pisces. Pisces is water, more water. So I think the fear here for you, or the worry, is that if you were to do a little too much relating or communicating on the emotional, intuitive level, that you might lose touch with reality. That for you, reality has to be logical It has to be intellectual and rational. You have to be able to analyze and explain things. But if you were to start dealing more with emotions and intuition, I think maybe you feel, right, a subjective kind of feeling that you would get lost in that you would lose touch with reality, that things wouldn't be logical and rational and reasonable and real anymore because they would just be more kind of vague emotions and just a little bit more dreamy. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of your worry here, is that you don't want to get lost in your emotions because you might lose touch with that rational intellectual world that you tend to live in, okay? So I think that is a completely valid and reasonable thing to be concerned about. I think as the more future outcome, the long-term projection, we have this Princess of Cups, again another water card. I think this is a nice way to start with all of this water energy that we've been talking about, right? It doesn't mean to just jump into this Queen of Cups and just start living your life purely on the emotional, intuitive plane. And it doesn't mean getting lost in that and kind of losing touch with reality because you've just completely ignored the intellectual, rational plane and you're just completely living in your emotions now. But this is a nice place to start with the Princess of Cups. So it's just the beginning stages of this water energy, right? You're just kind of, you're dipping your toe in those waters, figuratively and literally. And so you're starting to kind of try a little bit more of that just emotional relating, the emotional communication, the intuitive knowing, and the kind of non-rational, non-verbal communication style. So you're dipping your toe in that water. You're not just jumping in and getting lost in there. You're starting out slow and it's going to just build. And I think you'll find a nice balance between the emotional level and your need for the rational, organized world. Okay, so I really think that the future projection is just to try connecting slowly at first, see how it goes with your intuition and your emotions and your compassion and empathy, and just try focusing on that way of relating to people and things and to the world, and just tuning down the intellectual, rational, kind of left-brained relationship a little bit, and just start out slow, dip your toe in that water, and see how it goes. You know what I mean? Okay, the confirmation card. We haven't looked at that yet. I don't know what this is. I don't know how this is going to tie the reading together or give us that confirmation, but let's see what this card is. Oh, Knight of Cups. All right, so I think that this is really confirming a lot of this water energy that we've been talking about. The Knight of Cups is that, the building up of that momentum that we started out with the Princess of Cups here. Now it's taken full force. You are diving headfirst into that watery realm, but you're doing it with the fiery aspect of it. You're doing it with intention and will, and you're doing it with health and vitality. And that connects us back to the very beginning with this Six of Wands, this fiery energy that said that you were victorious over that illness or injury that you might have had, but you have this health and vitality about you. And you're using that to now control this watery element. And you're just you dipped your toe in the water with that princess, like we were talking about. But I think the confirmation here, the way this all ties together, is that you're going to find that this really does evoke such wonderful feelings in you to communicate and to relate to people on that water level, that you're going to run with it. You're going to just love it and enjoy it and go more and more and more into it. But you're going to maintain that level of control and that energy and vitality that you have to keep it together and not get lost in this moon energy. That watery moon that we were talking about. You're going to maintain focus and clarity and will and determination and purpose, but you're really going to find that it's going to open up new doors and new avenues of experience for you relating to people on this water level. Okay, so this I think is a really good confirmation. More than a confirmation, this is just kind of like a projection of the future, kind of a step beyond this projection of the future, right? So we had the princess kind of just starting out, dipping your toe into the water, and now you're really you're swimming, you're doing laps, you're doing dives and flips and all these kinds of of moves in the water now. You're very comfortable in it, and you find it to be a very like revitalizing and restorative way of communicating and relating to the world. So I think that is a wonderful confirmation, Cancer. I think this is really a great projection for you. I thank you for letting me read for you today. If you want to check out the extended version of this, stick around, become a member, join the channel. All the information is down in the description box. This was your weekly tarot forecast. Thank you.